morning, you guys. It is Crystal here, and welcome to my channel, Homemaking on the Homestead. And today, I want to chat with you a little bit about winter blues and survival tips on getting through the winter if you're somebody who just really struggles this time of year. While I'm doing this, I'm also in the kitchen, and I am baking. I am baking up a batch of peanut butter cookies today, and that was another little thing that I wanted to show you. The pantry challenge, I haven't forgot it. I'm still working on it. I had a jar of peanut butter. Normally I buy the really healthy natural peanut butter. At Christmas time I picked up a jar of just plain old Winco brand peanut butter, and it's just been sitting on my shelf since I did my Christmas baking. So I ended up being able to use up almost all of this. So yay, that's the idea. Anyway, I like to combine things, that way I can get something done and I can make a video and chat with you guys at the same time. I just made up the batter, and it has to sit in the refrigerator for an hour. So I thought, okay, now is the time for me to just have a little chat with you. The recipe that I am using is one I've never tried before, and it comes from Sally's Baking Addiction, I think. I'll write it down here, and I will leave the link below so you can try it too, and I'll let you know what I think of them as well. Before I get started on my tips and my thoughts of how to survive the winter if it really gets you down, gives you the blues, is to let you know that there is a big difference between dealing with winter blues, like sad seasonal affective disorder, where everything just gets you down this time of year, and actually dealing with depression. If you have depression, clinical type depression, you really do need to see a doctor and deal with it in that way, because it is a very difficult thing to go through, and you may need just a little bit more help than what you can muster within yourself. So that said, let's talk about some of the things that I think are the most important when it comes to dealing with the winter blues. So number one, I'm not really going to number these, so I guess I should just say the first one that I want to talk about is the importance of keeping a routine. It's easy to not want to get up early because it's gray or snowy or cold, and it's easy to just kind of get so down that you would hope, what is the point? So it's really important that you keep your routines. Keep that schedule that you've always done. Just continue doing that every single day. I find it the most helpful when I get up is to go ahead and make my bed at that point. Sometimes I will go ahead and get dressed right away. Sometimes I will just kind of wake up a little bit with a cup of coffee. I read my Bible. I just kind of have that morning quiet time, which I also think is really important. And after that, I like to get dressed all the way down to my shoes. It just makes you feel like, yay, we could get going on this day now. Making the bed is very helpful too, because it just gives you something positive. They say the bedroom, I've heard anywhere from 70 to 85% is the bed, and once the bed is made, it's like 70-85% of your room is done, and that's a positive motivation for you to step forward. The other things that I think are important, or the next thing is a plan. When I have my quiet time, I usually sit down and plan something for my day, or write down whatever chores I need to do, whatever the plans are that I have for that day. I take a minute to write that down and to write down my daily to-do list. I think it's important. Again, I think all of these things are helpful. You may decide it's not as important. Some things are not as important for you as they might be for me, but that's okay. But, no matter how you feel, you really need to prepare for your day, because if you don't have a plan for your day, the day, especially if you're dealing with the more emotional type feelings, it can be really hard to get past that. And so sometimes we just have to make ourselves write out that plan and make ourselves do the next thing, whatever that may be. Keep moving on your day. And I think that's another important one as well. Keep busy. Whatever you do, don't spend a lot of idle time especially when you're not feeling or you're great or you're feeling those blues. Don't spend idle time trying to figure out, what do I do with my day to day? Have that plan and keep busy. I tend to always have a project for my day planned out. So my projects can vary as to what they are, but I always try to have a dedicated project, something that is going to do something beneficial for myself, my home, my husband, anything that that motivates and inspires me. I like to bake, I like to cook, I like to make meals from scratch. So I will plan those things, and also I like to sew, I like to do crochet projects this time of year. So I always try to have that project for the day ready to go. I also find that when I have a project, I use that as my motivation to say, okay, let me get my daily to-dos done so that I can now focus on my project, because that is the fun part. And maybe it is time, when it comes to the projects, maybe it is time for you to pick up a new skill. Maybe it's time to learn something new. Maybe you don't know how to knit, and you decide you want to learn how to knit this winter. Maybe you've never quilted and you'd like to start by making a few quilt blocks just to see if you can get the hang of it. Maybe you want to, try making an apron and see, just learn a new skill if it is something that you don't do normally. This is a biggie that I think takes the focus off of me, takes the focus off of what I am dealing with, and that is a determination to make someone happy. It can be really something simple, but when we determine that our desire is to make someone else happy that day, then we're not thinking about the dark days. We're not thinking about the gray days or the cold days. We are focused on somebody else. And I just love that. So ways to make somebody happy. Okay, they could be super simple. You could determine today that when you go out to go do your grocery shopping or run to the post office or whatever you have to do, that you're going to smile at every person that you see. At this time of year, it creates a lot of grumpy people out there, So what would happen if you just smiled at every person that you saw? You might just make their day, It's just a small act of kindness that could actually make them happy. I mentioned that I like to bake. Well, I also don't need, for all my baking and all the things that I enjoy baking to start increasing my waist size. So, I give them away. I do that a lot. I will put them in a freezer, and in like cookies, for instance. I put them into Ziploc bags and I put them in the freezer. When I go to visit one of my kids, I take them a bag of cookies. My grandkids, of course, I'm always giving cookies and muffins, and anything that I bake, I'm sharing with them. You could take a plate of cookies to your neighbor. You could take a plate of cookies to a friend. Just give it away, because that will certainly make somebody very happy. The last time I took some muffins up to my son, who lives a couple hours away, and we were visiting with him, he kept texting me about how appreciative he was of it, and how, he's working, he's got a lot going on in his life, and it was so nice, he said, to be able to just grab one out of the freezer, pop it in the microwave, and he had an instant breakfast or an instant snack. And that made me happy, and it made him happy. So giving away your baked goods is a great way to make somebody else happy. How about writing a letter? Does anybody actually ever do that anymore? It just seems like this forgotten art in a world of texting. Do we ever take the time to sit down and actually write out a letter and maybe pop it in a nice card, maybe one of those frugal cards that I talked about in a past video that a viewer had shared? I think that kind of thing would be not only a lot of fun to be able to, if you're going to go to making the card, but also just to be able to write a letter, letting somebody know that you were thinking about it, and popping it in an envelope and sending it off to them. I had one of my viewers, send me a letter a little while ago. it made my day. Talk about making me happy to receive a handwritten letter. And she's not the first person. I've had a couple people do that and send me cards. I've had a few people send me cards and send me letters. And, I mean, that made me happy. And I hope that it made them happy as well. And so, yeah, write a letter. It's really old school. But there's a generation of people that grew up that is how they communicated. So, I mean, if you're fortunate to still have your grandparents around, or maybe aunts and uncles, or, anything like that, that are of an older generation that would appreciate a handwritten letter from you, do that, and that will make you happy. Let's remember self-care. It's really easy this time of year to I don't want to mess with the shower. I don't want to mess with that. It's like, No, do the self-care. That's vital. Take the shower. Take your vitamins. Maybe add in there some extra B vitamins to give you a little energy boost at this time of the year. Maybe some vitamin D if you don't have sunshine like around here. Whatever it is that you need to do for your own self-care, do that. Comb your hair. Do the things that will make you feel presentable and make you feel good. And another one that I mention all the time, just because it is something that I really enjoy, whether I'm cleaning house or sitting down and working on a project, what I love to do is to listen to either the Bible, audiobooks. A few years ago, I discovered on YouTube old-time radio shows. Those are super fun to listen to. Anything that I don't have to sit down and be watching and, give it my whole 100% attention. I love that. I just love having it play. Maybe because I, had 8 kids in a noisy house all those years, that being in a quiet house with just me or me and my husband is like sometimes more than, I need something to listen to. So I'm always turning something on and listening to something, podcasts, whatever it may be that's enriching, encouraging, fun. Do that and take your mind and focus off of the wintertime gray, snow, cold blues, whatever it is that you have. Obviously, you ladies in the South probably don't deal with this as much, but other than maybe shorter days. But for most of us that do have a definite winter cycle to get through, there are ways to survive that. One last thing, sleep. Make sure you get your sleep. And if you are having a hard time with sleeping, which could be part of the winter blues, SAD type thing, find some chamomile tea. Traditional medicinals makes a nighty-night tea that is really good. I do that one quite often, and maybe you need a magnesium supplement. There's just so many different ways. It'd be a whole nother video on how to get good sleep, but make sure you get your sleep. Don't take your phone into your room with you, or your tablet or whatever. Leave that someplace else. Read a book to help you relax, and just try to get some good quality sleep. I also occasionally will take melatonin if I'm having a problem. I used to suffer terribly from insomnia, so it is something that I've had to learn to work through. And so occasionally when I start getting that type of thing coming back, I will take melatonin for 2 or 3 nights, and that kind of puts me back in that routine. The biggest thing is that routine. Have a regular bedtime, have a regular wake-up time. That really helps with a good night's sleep. And just as a general health thing, it should go without saying that you stay hydrated, drink your water every day, and get outside, get some fresh air, even if it's cold, even if it's wet and gray. I will make a point to get outside, unless it's all icy like it is today, then I'm not going to go slip and fall. But otherwise, I try to get outside, whether I take a walk or I just, go out and sit on my deck and enjoy the fresh air, and just whatever it is, just get outside and take in some of that fresh air. And lastly, because this video is getting pretty long right now, but a friend, call a friend, talk to your friend, connect with somebody, and just spend a few moments in in just a social connection. And that is the same thing too if, go to a Bible study or do something where you can get around other people. That can also help get you through this time of the year and also give you something to look forward to on a weekly basis if you have a class or something like that. All those are good ways to help take the focus off of the winter and put it onto positive things that will make you feel better and beat those winter blues, because you know what? Spring is just around the corner, and that's when the whole world wakes up and we can get moving on with the rest of the seasons this year. All right, you guys, thank you for watching. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye-bye.